So it looks like the family of Caleb is finally getting some of the answers and justice that they deserve. For those of you who are not familiar with this story, I reacted to a story the other day about a young man who went to Southern University and was a pledge at a fraternity and had ended up dying in some sort of fraternity ritual that was allegedly off campus, and the details were very shaky. There wasn't much out about it, but over the past few days, there have been more evidence. There have been some arrests. So we're going to go through a couple videos and then I'll give y'all my thoughts on this story and how it's shaken up at the end.
Sources with direct knowledge of the investigation tell the I-Team Caleb Wilson was punched before he collapsed just last week. Those sources say the story that fraternity members told to police officers about his death happening at a Breck Park, well, that was fabricated. Sources said pledges with Omega Sci-Fi were actually at a warehouse in Baton Rouge when Wilson was punched in the chest and collapsed during an unsanctioned fraternity ritual. He was later pronounced dead by doctors at an area hospital. The hospital contacted Baton Rouge police, which launched an investigation. Time since his death just last week, investigators publicly acknowledged he was hazed to death, a story the WAFB team broke earlier this week. Late last night, Caleb McRae turned himself in and is facing the most serious charges of manslaughter and criminal hazing. Our chief investigative reporter, Chris Nakamoto, is live outside Baton Rouge Police Headquarters following the news conference that just wrapped up a few moments ago. Chris, what can you share with us at this time now that some details have been released?
Well, good afternoon, Matt. I can tell you a lot of new information came out, a lot of it publicly confirmed for the first time by investigators, and arrest warrants were just released publicly for Caleb McRae. Those arrest warrants essentially show that McRae was the last person who hit Caleb Wilson with boxing gloves. During the news conference today, we learned there are going to be 2 additional people who are charged with criminal hazing as a result of Caleb Wilson's death. As you take a look at some video right now, during a news conference on Friday, Police Chief T.J. Morse said Caleb Wilson died on February 26th and was dropped off at an emergency room, but no one stayed with him after bringing him to Baton Rouge General. Initially, investigators were told this all unfolded at a Breck Park, but investigators confirmed today that hazing happened at a warehouse off of Greenville Springs Road. No one bothered to call for help when Wilson collapsed, and additional warrants for other individuals are not being ruled out. As this tragedy plays out, Wilson's family has not been able to grieve as the coroner still has his body pending further testing. Take a listen to what city leaders had to say about an hour ago.
The main message I want to put is from the mayor's office and the city of Baton Rouge's prayers for the family during this time. I want to thank Southern University, the chief, the district attorney, and everyone involved for their hard work. You know, my message to Baton Rouge is we got to do better, Baton Rouge. We got to do better. We feel like sometimes we take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. It's a sad day to use such a promising young life.
As we said earlier, 2 additional individuals are facing criminal hazing charges, but we are told those hazing charges are considered misdemeanors. Right now, investigators are working with those individuals and their attorneys to get them to turn themselves in. But because they're misdemeanors, they could potentially be issued citations and not be booked into jail. So we'll be waiting to see what happens with those 2 additional individuals. That will bring the total to 3 individuals charged in the death of Caleb Wilson. We're going to have much more coming up today on later editions of 9 News, including reaction from Southern University. They had representatives here, including the Southern University president, Dennis Shields, who said he is deeply saddened by what unfolded. For now, though, I am live outside of Baton Rouge Police Headquarters. Chris Nakamoto, WAFB 9 News. Now back to you, Matt.
Chief investigative reporter right there, Chris Nakamoto.
Y'all talk about God gonna do this, God gonna do that. Bitch, I'm not trying to hear none of that. You make certain decisions, you do certain things, and you see the outcomes every time. Like, My tempo never switched up, bitch. I don't give a fuck if the dude my friend. I don't care if I ain't know him from a can of paint. I said everybody involved deserves to be held accountable. Somebody said he didn't know. How many times I gotta say that? How many times have I already said that? None of them knew that shit was gonna play out like that. That's why they did it. There's been multiple times at Southern where organizations have been called out on their hazing before it got too far, and they shut the line down and everybody gets consequences. That should have happened in the same instance, but it didn't. And you see what can happen when it's not, when hazing is not have a light shined upon it, like when it's not broadcasted. You see what happened. Shit like this, people coming up unalive because the shit is illegal. So why keep continue to do something that's illegal? And the same people that claim to be these hazing advocates and stuff like that, bitch, y'all been knowing hazing what's going on. This shit ain't nothing new. Oh, now that somebody passed away, now it's just, oh, that energy should have been there. It shouldn't have got to the point where somebody had to pass away for y'all to be like, oh yeah, hazing is wrong. That shit been wrong. Like, half of y'all not even from the city of New Orleans anyway. Half of y'all not even from Louisiana, period, to be speaking on some shit that's even going down here. Like, what? If you could list one time where I said anything wrong in a situation that transpired, shit, I pay everybody $10K right now. If you could.
All right, so I know that was a lot of information, but the gist of it is that there was one arrest so far. There are other arrests on the way. So the whole original story about them being in a park and him just collapsing was allegedly fabricated, and they were actually at a warehouse in Baton Rouge, and they were, I guess, given like the guys who were already a part of the fraternity, I guess they were punching the pledges, and things got taken, I guess, a little bit too far, and he ended up dying. And that is almost exactly like the Burning Sands movie. I don't know if y'all have seen that, but definitely check that out. It is a little bit traumatic, but literally the final scene in that movie is like the pledges are lined up, they're getting punched, and eventually one of them ends up getting punched in the wrong spot, and they pass out, and they end up dying, I believe. But yeah, man, very sad story. I'm glad his family is getting answers and some justice. Yeah, and this is gonna be crazy. I do believe his father being a police officer is a big reason why this is getting taken more seriously than other cases of, hazing incidents have been. I think I did see something also where the university has been deciding to ban all fraternities and sororities, which is something that we usually don't see in this situation. I think I said in the other video that we usually see them get suspended for a few years and then they're right back to doing it, but this is definitely being taken more seriously. And I wouldn't be surprised if the court case is like a very long and drawn out, because you do have this kid whose family and the city is behind him, but you got the other guy who is already a member of a certain fraternity, and those guys are known to protect each other. They usually have people that are lawyers and sometimes judges in their same fraternity. So it's going to be an interesting court case for sure. I'm definitely going to keep y'all updated on this case, and anything new comes out as far as like court proceedings, we'll get we'll stay updated with all that. But let me know what y'all think about all the new details that came out about this case down below. As always, love y'all. I'm out.